you got a Detroit Pistons uniform on, you got to be proud to wear it. And you just got to have that certain little edge in your system that makes you real special.
What a move by Isaiah. He is lighting this place up.
He just was a physical, hard-nosed, aggressive blue-collar team.
Defense became our stamp and it became our trademark. And when you're trying to win, you got to have an identity.
You're not going to win it offensively. You've got to get to work everybody defensively. That's what I'm looking at.
If you're not playing defense, you're not playing Piston basketball. And Piston basketball is basically defense first, offense second.
Good grief, this team can play some defense.
We were very innovative and put our stamp on basketball forever.
Boston, Game 5 of the 1987 Eastern Conference Final. This was to be the night the Pistons would stand up and make their nemesis, the Celtics, take notice. But to take the lead in the series, they would have to beat a living legend on his hallowed home court, where they had had little success.
The Celtics were the old veteran team that nothing bothered them. They were impervious. No matter what you did, they treated you with just like, please, get off of me. And that annoyed the Pistons.
We knew we were the better team, but every time we came to our place, we won by 20. We went to their place, we lost by 2. So it was very clear that we had the capabilities and the firepower to out-muscle them, out-shoot them, outscore them, and win the series.
But this was still Bird and Magic's league, and Detroit's captain Isaiah Thomas knew he would have to dethrone the reigning king to get the title he so desperately wanted.
He had an incredible drive. I mean, he'd see Magic, he'd see Bird collecting trophies, and he wanted to do that.
In this crucial game, both teams would look to their stars, and neither would disappoint.
Bird, nice tip to McHale. What a play.
Off quickly to Isaiah. Pistons can tie this trip. Thomas, stutter step move. High off the glass for 2. We are tied at 71. Larry wants it back. Fires.
Hit it. Big shot. Big shot.
I think Game 5 was probably the best game that I had ever played in the NBA up until that time. Even though I had done some incredible things, I thought that Game 5 game, I was really good.
Like all clutch players do, Isaiah would demand the ball with 20 seconds left and the Pistons down by 1. He wanted the pressure squarely on his shoulders.
Seasoning bumps him a couple of times. Isaiah nails it top of the key with 17 seconds to go, and the Celtics call time.
What was going through my mind with 17 seconds left, if that was the exact count on the clock, we finally got these guys.
Now victory was clearly within the Pistons' grasp. All they needed was one last defensive stand in the final seconds, and this breakthrough game would be theirs.
All right, 14 seconds left. On the left it goes to Bird. Bird guarded by Mahorn. Drives around him. Goes on in. And the ball gets knocked out of bounds by 8. Oh, they call it the other way.
I was at the end of the bench, and I'm jumping up and down, knowing we won the game.
With one simple inbounds pass from Isaiah, Detroit would take command of the series.
And now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in. Right up 1 second left. What a play by Bird. Bird stole the inbounding pass. DJ laid it up and in. And Boston has a 1-point lead with 1 second left. Oh my, this place is going crazy.
Oh my, what a mistake by Detroit.
The locker room was very quiet. We were a tight team, but it seemed like Isaiah was sitting by himself.
If you could, just one more time, the final 5 seconds. You see Bird coming at all?
He knew he messed up. He knew he was going to have to live with it for the rest of his life. He probably still having nightmares about it.
That night, I just felt, even though there were people around and consoling you or whatever, I just felt completely alone.
Nestle introduces the best-tasting Baby Ruth ever. Now with a tastier, softer center. America's baby just got better. Yeah.
Get ready to move. It's time to submit to the rhythm with Pulse. 2 CDs or 2 cassettes of non-stop throbbing energy.
Another night, another dream, but always you. I know what I want and I want it now.
You can order this collection online at MusicSpace.com. This is the perfect party collection with over 2 hours of pulse-pounding beats. You can't get this 30-track collection in any store. From techno to house, every song on Pulse is guaranteed to make you sweat. Why wait? Order this collection by Rush Delivery. Feel the pulse and get it now. To order, have your credit card ready and call the number on your screen or log on to MusicSpace.com.
People want to win. Well, you don't get there with milk and cookies.
On Sunday, March 10th.
I've never had a team play scared. What the hell are you scared of?
The first original motion picture from ESPN.
I had to sit around for a year with a losing record? I'm not going to let you people do that to me.
Brian Dennehy is Bobby Knight.
Don't you kids get it? Playing my game is what got you here.
A season on the brink. Sunday, March 10th, 8 p.m. Eastern, only on ESPN. Viewer discretion is strongly advised.
The Pistons would have a hard road to glory in Detroit, but their journey began in a different place during a very different era of pro basketball. The original Pistons were the brainchild of this man, Fred Zollner. He manufactured engine pistons at his plant in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and he started a company team to play in Midwest industrial leagues.
We'd play our ball games, and then it'd be done about 10:30 at night. Go home and wash up and go to work at midnight.
Joining the National Basketball League in 1941, the Fort Wayne Zollner Pistons were led by future Hall of Famer Bobby McDermott and won 3 straight titles. By the end of the 40s, Fort Wayne was a member of the newly formed NBA. The Pistons played in a tiny high school gym, notorious as a hostile environment for opponents.
It was the pit. I mean, it was a tough place to play. I always felt like I was part of the gladiators in the old Roman days, and we were the lions, and they would throw things at us.
Throughout the 50s, the Pistons were led by a skinny 6'5" jump shooting machine named George Yardley. He would become the first player in NBA history to score 2,000 points in a single season.
They didn't know at that early stage how to defend the jump shot. So I was able to come into the league at the right time and make a living at it.
It's Philadelphia versus Fort Wayne for the NBA championship.
Twice the Pistons reached the NBA Finals, but lost both times. In 1957, Zollner left small-town Fort Wayne for big city Detroit, but 13 straight losing seasons would follow. In the 60s, 7 coaches, including the youngest in NBA history, Dave DeBusschere, failed to change Detroit's losing ways. It seemed that better days might be ahead when the team chose guard Dave Bing with their top pick in the 1966 draft. He would win Rookie of the Year honors and a scoring title the following season. But while Bing was unstoppable, the Pistons were anything but, reaching the playoffs only once during Dave's first 7 seasons. In 1970, Detroit received help and hope in the form of massive center Bob Lanier, the NBA's top draft choice. The Pistons promptly showed signs of life with their first winning season since moving to Detroit, and Lanier soon established himself as one of the most respected pivot men of his era.
He was a warrior. He was a big man with a great shooting touch,
And then he put the fear of God in you.
Detroit's fortunes in the 70s reached their peak in 1974 under the league's first African-American Coach of the Year, Ray Scott. The team won 52 games and extended the Bulls to 7 games in the playoffs. Still, their revolving door continued throughout the decade as 8 coaches came and went, while the team produced just 3 winning seasons.
You were always in a state of confusion and conflict and change. And it was crazy. It was just crazy.
By the end of the 1970s, Fred Zollner had sold the Pistons, Dave Bing had been traded, and in the 1980 season, Detroit hit rock bottom. They won a grand total of 16 games, the fewest in the nearly 40-year history of the franchise.
It was probably the most devastating journey that you could have. It was like a bad dream.
For the Pistons, the promise of the future would arrive in 1981 when they drafted Isaiah Thomas. Raised in the inner city of Chicago, Isaiah was familiar with answering challenges. He led his high school team to the state championship game, then won a national title at Indiana University. So for Isaiah, joining the worst team in the NBA was not a worst-case scenario.
When I got drafted by Detroit, I knew it would be tough. And I welcomed the challenge. I wanted to do it. I wanted to accept the challenge of trying to take a bad team and make it a great team.
At the time, the NBA was dominated by Los Angeles and Boston, but Thomas was determined to start a tradition of his own.
I had always won, and I wanted to win, but we weren't like the Lakers or the Celtics where you were walking right into tradition. Detroit was a different situation, and we had to take it from the bottom all the way to the top.
The burden of transforming the Pistons into winners fell squarely on the shoulders of the 20-year-old Thomas. From the start, it was clear that he had the talent to pull it off.
What a play by Isaiah Thomas! Shot clock at 15. By Isaiah, still has the dribble right side. Way down to the floor. Comes in the lane. 10-footers on the way. Got it!
What a move by Isaiah. He is lighting this place up.
Thomas had an immediate impact on the league, emerging as one of the NBA's best young players. There was little doubt he was headed for stardom, but Isaiah wanted more.
Isaiah had this disease of winning to the point where it affected everything about him. He wanted it so badly. It hurt like you cannot believe when he lost.
I would physically get ill when we lost, and I would get sick, and I just wanted to win more and just stay away from that sick feeling.
Isaiah suffered through 2 losing seasons before the Pistons turned to an unlikely source to help him. Chuck Daly was a former high school coach from Pennsylvania with a half season of NBA head coaching experience, and his record with Cleveland that year was a dismal 9-32.
He's a good man. He's an excellent basketball man. He's a guy that we have put the future of the Pistons on the floor in his hands. And Chuck, if you'll come up here. As Bill Kreifel said, the basketball's in your hands.
Thank you, Jack. When I went there, they had won 35 games and 37 the previous year to that. Scotty Robertson was the previous coach, and I had a 2-year deal with an option. And frankly, I looked at the film and I said, boy, this guy did a great coaching job. I'm not long for this job.
Chuck seemed to be prophetic as Detroit continued to struggle in his first few months.
We lost 19 out of 24, and there was always talk, you're going to get fired tonight and that sort of thing. And Isaiah called me one night, and we met at a McDonald's, very clandestine. And he made kind of a pact. He said, I want you to be the coach. We're going to gut this out.
But Chuck and Isaiah both knew they were facing a long road ahead.
on ESPN Classic.
I love this game!
In the future, being a champion could get you killed. And if you want to stay on top, you better skate for your life. You can't make me quit. You can be stopped! James Caan stars in a fast and furious real classic, Rollerball. 9 p.m. Sunday, only on ESPN Classic.
At Comcast, we're working hard to make your life easier. We're taking care of you with digital how-to channels, 24-hour phone and website support, and more local customer care representatives to ensure you stay in touch, informed, and in sync with anyone, anytime. Everything you need to stay connected, all from one single source, Comcast.
Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle, King of the Apes, Father of Boy. He knows what it takes to be a dad. You go for a ride, you take a swim, you hang out. All it takes is time. Hey, it doesn't take a hero, but it takes a man to be a dad.
As the Pistons improved in 1984, a growing bond had formed between Isaiah Thomas and Chuck Daly. Together, they led Detroit to its first playoff berth in 7 years. And that bond would be solidified in their epic battle against Bernard King and the New York Knicks. Throughout the series, King was a one-man scoring machine.
Yes.
But Isaiah was equally brilliant.
Isaiah, it's within one.
And in the fifth and deciding game, he would lead the Pistons' late charge, scoring an amazing 16 points in the final 94 seconds.
I don't know if I've ever seen a player really do that. Under the circumstances of a big game playoff, it was just phenomenal. And that particular game elevated Isaiah Thomas to superstar status.
And though Isaiah's heroics were not enough to produce a Piston victory, it seemed clear that Daly had the kind of player and leader he could build his team around.
He was the ultimate competitor and a brilliant basketball guy. He knew what it took to win. He always wanted more. He was always seeking the Holy Grail in basketball.
In the '84 playoffs, Isaiah Thomas had revealed his commitment to winning, and Chuck Daly had found his superstar. But they still needed a supporting cast. Two holdover Pistons would join Isaiah in forming the backbone of the team. Bill Laimbeer and Benny Johnson, who had both arrived the same year as Thomas. Laimbeer was a rugged center with uncommon touch for a big man.
Three-point shot, Laimbeer.
He's deadly from that range. While Johnson, nicknamed the microwave, provided instant offense. But despite their three building blocks, the project was far from finished.
It was going to be a long process, and it wasn't going to be something that was done overnight. And Laimbeer, Benny Johnson, myself, we all made the commitment to win in this league and to do what it took to win in this league.
Daly realized that his team, while talented, was still flawed.
We had a lot of offensive people, and we could really score. In fact, that was the team that ended up scoring 186 points in Denver. It still holds the scoring record.
However, he decided that a team built around offense had little chance in the playoffs.
Each year, we'd get eliminated basically in the first round, like a lot of teams do. So we kept adding personnel and changing, and our philosophies changed.
Execute the screen.
They would begin by drafting unheralded Joe Dumars.
Why Joey, we called him. This guy could defend the best two guards in the league.
Swipe by Dumars. Trying to drive him, he does, and he hits it!
That same year, they acquired Rick Mahorn, notorious for his bruising style. Then in 1986, the Pistons drafted John Sally and Dennis Rodman.
When we took them to the rookie camp, people kind of laughed at us because they couldn't score. But we kind of liked what we had.
What they had were two young, athletic forwards who could score just enough while providing tenacious rebounding and stifling defense.
He was very tough-nosed defensive guys. And every day at practice, Chuck Daly just said, hey, here's the ball, play for your minutes. And guys would literally, we'd fight. Didn't matter. We'd fight each other on the court. That made it competitive. We'd love each other, but we still would, the competitiveness was just there. All of a sudden, gosh, you got a good team.
Over the course of 3 seasons, the Pistons had transformed themselves as their pieces gradually came together. By 1987, Detroit was starting to gel as a unit, and it was clear that their success would be based on defense.
Thomas steals it again with help from Rodman, and a 3-on-1 break to Dumars. Rodman goes for the steal, and it pays off. Dennis Rodman on the jam. And
all of a sudden, you have this wonderful collection of veteran ball players surrounded by some young guys who had this wonderful spirit where they would do everything and anything they could, and it just worked.
Detroit was clearly a team on the rise, sweeping the Bullets in the first round of the playoffs.
Doing it all. The Detroit Pistons win it.
In the second round, they would upset the favored Atlanta Hawks, going farther than any Piston team in the past 20 years.
On the way up.
And they would ride that wave of emotion into the Eastern Conference Finals, taking on the defending champion Boston Celtics. Detroit gave them more of a fight than anyone thought they could.
They're hot. They know they're hot.
And though they would lose in the most heartbreaking fashion,
Now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ lane.
the Pistons had made a statement, and in the process, learned a valuable lesson.
In order to be successful, you must experience some really bitter defeat. It makes you a better competitor. If you have gotten that close, and then out of the clear blue, somebody snatches it away because of a mistake that you made, boy, the next time you're in that position, you remember these things, and you want the championship even more.
It's just the things that you have to go through. But I wasn't leaving the NBA until I had won a championship. That wasn't going to happen.
The average American household was carrying almost $8,000 in credit card debt, just making minimum payments. It would have taken most families 47 years to pay that debt off. Then, the unthinkable happened. Now these families are swimming in a sea of red ink. That's where Profina comes in. Profina is one of America's largest, most experienced credit counseling services. And Profina is nonprofit. Just get your bills together and call one of their financial experts. They'll help you build a new budget, and then they'll work with your creditors to lower your payments. You can save hundreds of dollars a month, and without putting your home at risk. And during this time of crisis, Profina is redoubling efforts to help American families. It's not a loan. It's not a handout. It's a way to work yourself back where you belonged. Because we have better things to do with our red ink. Profina, rebuilding America's economy, one family at a time.
A special announcement from the American Property Network. You can buy cars for as low as $29 per month. Choose from thousands of cars repossessed and seized by the U.S. Marshal, IRS, FBI, and private organizations. Call 1-800-370-2060. Foreclosed homes and distressed properties are selling for as low as $199 per month. Call 1-800-370-2060. For current auction listings, call 1-800-370-2060. Call toll-free.
Each year, the NBA and its players connect with youth in their communities to show the importance of reading.
I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. Ring! It was the bone phone.
And through laughter, joy, and an open heart, their message is clear.
Whose eyes are these? I can't trick you guys.
You can achieve whatever you believe. So join the NBA, grab a book, and help a child read to achieve.
Now there's a steal by Bird.
We had to live with it, and it was kind of a rallying cry for us to we're going to come back and we're going to do it right. What was so disappointing and what was so heartbreaking is we knew we had missed an opportunity there. We've been trying so hard to overcome those guys.
I think it's no question it's a test of our character.
you know, it was really a test for us. Are we really that good?
The Boston Celtics will go to the finals again.
Because it was the same old enemy doing the same old thing, that just made the Pistons angry. They just came back twice as strong to try to beat them.
By the following season, it was evident to the Pistons that they would never be the Celtics or the Lakers. And to beat them, they would have to do it their way.
It's blocked by Lambier. Great block.
You got to carve out some turf for yourself, and you got to create an identity. And what we did is we created our identity, and it was, you know, built out of defense.
They would give away fouls. They'd give away the first foul, the second foul, in order to establish the fact that they were a wall, and if you ran into them, it was going to hurt. And they enjoyed it.
The entire league was intimidated. If you came down the middle, you're just going to get killed. You're going to get creamed.
The Pistons' ferocious brand of basketball would leave its mark, not just on opponents' bodies, but also on their nerves.
I think people talk about how physically tough we were on the court. I always looked at it as a huge psychological advantage. They were talking so much about the macho thing until the game was kind of an afterthought. And I always thought, we got them.
Right then and there, we'd won the game because that's not the way that team played. Other teams had to step up and try to be a man against us, and it wasn't their game.
Blending toughness and talent, Detroit had the best regular season in team history and won its first division title in 31 years. Their biggest test was still to come. A familiar obstacle awaited them in the Eastern Conference Finals.
And that series against Boston, we knew we were the better squad, and we had a relentless drive of not failing at any minute. We were going to play 48 minutes every game, and through the buzzer, when the game was over, you'd look at the final score and see if you won or you lost.
We became them. We took on their persona. We took on their toughness. We took on their attitude, their nastiness, everything that they were, we became. And I think when they looked across the court and they looked at the enemy was themselves that they were looking at.
Like the previous year, the teams would battle to a standstill through the first 4 games. And once again, the Pistons were playing a pivotal Game 5 at Boston Garden, facing a legend at his best.
Work him, don't let him get good position. Couple stops. Everybody go on the board. Everybody go on the board.
Though Boston had taken a huge lead, the Pistons willed themselves back into the game, the only way they knew how.
That team had us down 16 in the second half, and we just clawed and scratched and did whatever it took until we took the game away from them. They didn't give it to us. We had to go out and take it away from them.
Detroit has really shut them down. They've come back with a vengeance.
Detroit's dramatic comeback gave them a firm grip on the series that they would never relinquish, and it would become a defining moment.
At Game 5 in '87, it really stayed with us until we overcame them, and I don't think we put that to rest. I got rid of those demons until we beat them in '88 and moved on.
The Pistons have spoken the Celtics.
Beating the Celtics was like winning the NBA championship to us. It was huge. There's no doubt about it. It was huge getting past us. That was our biggest obstacle to get to the finals.
You know, it's like the way the torch was passed to us. McHale stopped, and he said, you know, don't be happy just getting there. Go and win it. And I gave him 5, and I said, okay, I understand. But I didn't really understand.
Though they have finally put Bird's Celtics behind them, the league's other reigning legend, Magic Johnson, now stood between Detroit and the title.
We had to overcome the hurdle of the Boston Celtics, and now we had a new mental challenge in front of us.
You're not going to win it offensively. You've got to get to work everybody defensive. That's what I'm looking at. I got to have the defense.
We weren't overconfident in any way, shape, or form. We were just having fun, and we were excited, and we played like it. We played good basketball.
They're cornered. They're cornered. Let's go. Smack the next one back in his face, okay?
A big victory by the Detroit Pistons here on the Laker floor.
Capturing Game 5 at home, the Pistons took a 3-2 lead, needing just one more victory in L.A. to win the championship.
When the team went back out to Los Angeles that year, there was a pretty good understanding that they were going to have to win that in Game 6. Go to Game 7, there's too much karma in that building.
We knew what we wanted. We wanted to win the championship. It was in front of us, and all we had to go out and play our game. At that point in time, we weren't thinking, we were just playing. It was just go out and do it like we've been done in every game, and it was working for us.
But in the third quarter of Game 6, Detroit suffered what appeared to be a crushing blow.
Isaiah Thomas is hurt down on the court underneath the basket. I couldn't tell what happened.
I remember laying there on that floor, wincing in pain. I was so angry seeing my dream kind of like slip through my hands.
But Thomas would continue to play on through the pain, and remarkably, he would pour in an NBA Finals record 25 points in the third quarter.
Isaiah Thomas was one of the greatest quarters I've ever seen.
And I just remember just focusing in on him. Somebody else could have been wide open under the basket. I never even looked. I just was focused on him and getting him the ball and watching him ride.
And the shot is good by Thomas. What a gutty, courageous performance.
He made. Come on, Jimmy. Who wants it? Who wants it, baby? Come on, Jimmy. Who wants it, baby? We want it. Who wants it, baby?
That was Isaiah Thomas's single greatest one-man gasp at trying to win a title by himself. He knew the third quarter of Game 6 was where they could win that championship. If they didn't win third quarter of Game 6, they probably weren't going to win the title.
Isaiah continued his heroic performance, yet it was still not enough to will his team to victory.
You could see in the locker room that they were spent. That was their best shot.
What hurts most right now?
In a Game 7 showdown, Thomas would inspire the Pistons to a halftime lead, but in the end, it would be the Lakers who prevailed. And once again, Detroit's season had ended in bitter disappointment.
If I wouldn't have got hurt, I think we would have beat them. No, I know we would have beat them. We were a better team than they were, and they knew it, we knew it, and I think the whole world knew it.
But despite the devastating defeat, no one questioned Detroit's ability to recover, especially not the Pistons themselves.
Well, one of the great assets of what we had was mental toughness. We took horrendous losses, horrendous defeats, and we're still able to come back the following year and accomplish what we wanted to accomplish.
Moo. For the latest technology at incredibly low prices, just call 1-800-GATEWAY. Because right now, you can get a Gateway 500 SE desktop with an Intel Pentium 4 processor, CD burner, and more for just $9.99. Or get the incredible Gateway Solo 1400 SE notebook. Perfect for the person on the go. It's also just $9.99. So call 1-800-GATEWAY or visit your local Gateway store today. That's 1-800-GATEWAY.
The game that made history. The 1980 Olympic Miracle on Ice, USA versus the USSR. It all starts at 9 Eastern tonight, only on ESPN Classic.
Smith works one in the right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. And a home run by Woodard.
Welcome to a whole new internet. An internet that's a lot faster and friendlier, too. Introducing the new Comcast high-speed internet. An internet that does more than you ever dreamed, more easily than you ever imagined. Where information and imagination fly through 1 million miles of fiber optic cable at the speed of light. A more reliable network built by the neighbors who've been connecting you for over 30 years. Welcome to the new Comcast high-speed internet.
Almost half of all parents who suspect their child has a problem learning wait a year or more before getting them help. Why? When there's so much they could be achieving. Kids with learning disabilities are smart. They just learn differently. Call or visit us on the web now.
It was a painful image for the Pistons, the memory of their last second loss to the Lakers in the finals. And as they entered the 1989 season, it was still firmly etched in their minds.
we felt like we won that series. Yeah, you could be satisfied. We played them tough, went to 7 games, they went to the wire. Yeah, most teams would be satisfied with that, but not us.
We knew after Game 7 in L.A., at the Forum, sitting in the shower, we all knew we're ready to be world champions.
One of the things we talked about in the locker room after, everybody make sure you stay in shape, be ready for training camp, coming to training camp in game shape, because we knew we were there.
Bring it up, bring it, bring it, bring it, bring it. Oh, good tag.
Before the season started, we were winning the championship. Every practice was about winning the championship. Every film session was about winning the championship. Every thought that you had was about winning the championship. You couldn't be playing to make the All-Star team. You couldn't be playing to be the league leader in rebounds or the best assist guy. You were either with us or against us. And if you were a teammate, you were in it for the sole purpose of winning the championship and nothing else, or you were out.
He had that mentality, and that permeated the rest of the team. In fact, when players would come onto the Pistons, there was this famous sit-down between Lambeer and Thomas and the new player. Whenever it was, everyone else would clear out and it would just be the 3 of them, and they would say, now look, this is what it's like to be a Detroit Piston, all right? Forget everything else that you learned. This is how it works around here. Isaiah did that, Lambeer followed, and they really were sort of the Don and the consigliere of the Pistons.
You would have to go through some sort of emotional and physical gauntlet with the Pistons, and if you were able to go through the gauntlet, you stayed, you were embraced.
Playing with ferocity and focus, the Pistons were a team on a mission. They rolled to the league's best record and continued their steady progression.
Every step of the way on their road to success, they learned something. They learned that they needed more experienced players. Then they learned that they needed more speed. Then they learned that they needed a different kind of low-post scorer. Then they learned that we have to step up our defensive pressure a certain way. Every step of the way, they figured things out.
In the Eastern Conference Finals, the Pistons would stifle Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls in 6 games, earning them another trip to the NBA Finals and another shot at the Lakers.
Program. They're just a bunch of tall guys running around if you don't have a program. That's right. All right.
The Pistons and Lakers will play for the global crowd of basketball.
I never felt like we weren't going to win.
Give me room. Give me room. I'm going high, so let it get up in the air.
From the start of the series, Detroit let it be known that the games would be played on their terms and in their style.
Come on, defense!
The Pistons manhandled the Lakers in the first 2 games, and as the series shifted to Los Angeles, the beleaguered defending champions were searching for answers.
I remember I sat next to Pat Riley after Game 2, and I just got seated next to him on an airplane. He was flying back without the rest of his team. And he was looking over the charts of the game, and he was looking over what the Pistons were doing defensively, too. And finally, he just let out this sigh. And he shook his head, and I said, what? He goes, we can't win.
Dumars has it outside, takes it baseline right, turns and guns. He got it! He's been just incredible.
In Game 3, Joe Dumars would continue the performance that made him the series MVP. And with Magic Johnson hobbled by a hamstring injury, the Lakers were simply no match for the Pistons, who rolled to victory and moved 1 step away from their championship dream.
To Rivers, he'll try a triple left corner, blocked by Dumars. He saved it!
For me, it was a magical time. Magical time. It's almost like the series took place as a dream. Everything that could have went right in our favor did. I remember the night before Game 4, me and a friend of mine who lives in L.A., we went out to watch the Dodgers play Cincinnati, had a hot dog, watched about 7 or 8 innings of the baseball game, got up and I told my friend, well, let's get out of here. I got a championship to win tomorrow.
Seize the championship! Grab the trophy! Grab the trophy!
With another victory in Game 4, the Pistons' sweep and their journey is now complete.
The Pistons are going to win the world title.
28 seconds,
When we got to the title game,
It was like the championship was built for us. It wasn't built for anybody else.
The Pistons are the basketball champions of the world.
Everything that you had worked for, everything that you had gone through as a team, it was like you were spent, and it was just like everything was beautiful, everything was wonderful. The smell was great, the champagne tasted good, the colors was awesome. I mean, you know, I think I said it was like heaven.
It feels like heaven. Like the Ohio player said, heaven must be like this. Heaven must be like this.
I was so relieved. I just sat in a chair outside the locker room, and it was like the air went out of the balloon. I was totally exhausted.
Everybody in Detroit, we coming home, having a party. Crazy, crazy party.
And the party lasted until about 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and then Dennis Rodman got on the plane going back to Detroit with his uniform still on.
Nestle introduces the best-tasting Baby Ruth ever. Now with a tastier, softer center. America's baby just got better. Yeah.
Getting a new job. It's time for a change. And time to consider rolling over your 401k money. Call T. Rowe Price, and you'll see why it's a smart choice for your 401k rollover. When you call T. Rowe Price, you'll speak with a dedicated rollover specialist who can discuss your options and help you set up your account, from handling the paperwork to assisting you with investment choices. T. Rowe Price offers access to over 1,000 no-load mutual funds. And as your needs change, it's easy to adjust your portfolio, since there are no sales charges and no commissions. And if you call us today to discuss your 401k rollover, we'll send you a free guide to help you through the process. Make sure you choose the right partner for your retirement investments. Call T. Rowe Price at 1-800-341-0783 and ask about a 401k rollover. T. Rowe Price. Invest with confidence.
I am Teresa Weatherspoon. I'm from a family of nothing but athletic people. Hi, Mom. I want people to feel what I feel. That's why I play with the craziness. You never know what I'm about to do. I make magic every time I touch the ball. Want to know my favorite number? It's 11. My off time, I enjoy bowling. You ever want to play me? It's over. I've traveled all over the world, but I always leave my heart in New York City. This is who I am. I am Teresa Weatherspoon.
It's a day of the best hoops action in ACC tournament history, and it's only on ESPN Classic. First, Wake Forest takes North Carolina to overtime in the '95 final. Then, Georgia Tech steals one away from the national champion Tar Heels. Plus, Rasheed Wallace carries UNC over Maryland in '95. And Shane Battier leads Duke against the Terrapins in last year's semifinal. Classic ACC tournament starts at noon Eastern Sunday, only on ESPN Classic.
Brought to you locally by Time Warner Cable.
This is the night that the Pistons get those world championship rings.
This one is for the fans of Detroit. The Pistons basked in the glory of their first NBA title, but their success also brought a new kind of test.
When you are the champion, you find out how difficult, basically, it is to repeat, because everybody's coming at you. And you pay a dear price for being the NBA champions.
And I was slip sliding away.
But Daly's Pistons were perfectly suited to handle the pressure that went with being champions.
Shine, Pistons.
All of them were distinct personalities, and because they were distinct, they made a good whole. If you had one more Isaiah Thomas on that team, it wouldn't have worked. If you had one more Bill Laimbeer on that team, it wouldn't have worked. And if you had a team full of Joe Dumarses, it wouldn't have worked. It was only that combination of those personalities.
That's Joe Dumars. He doesn't say much.
I enjoyed being there because I would kind of sit back just a little bit, just a few steps away, and watch the mayhem. And I would just be amused, sometimes amazed, but mostly amused at all the bedlam that went on.
Look how Redwood's back here.
While some coaches might have tried to curtail the Pistons' antics with a strong-armed approach, Chuck Daly thought it was best to let the boys be boys.
Daly was great because He didn't want to have anything to do with the players after the game was done. He didn't want to have anything to do with them after practice was done.
You know, he didn't hang with us or nothing like that. You know, meet you at the club, you know. Let's rub-a-dub at the club with Chuck. It was nothing like that.
It was all, you get your jobs done, you'll make your money, we'll all be happy.
Let's go, guys. Let's go. Help each other. Help each other. No one guy's going to do it. Let's go.
Everybody's going to get rewarded if we win a championship. You're going to get your new contract. You're going to get your endorsement.
He would motivate them by saying, you like your endorsement contract? You think that that's a good thing? You think they're going to give you that if you don't win a championship? They're going to give it to somebody else who wins a championship. I mean, that would be his motivation.
We're in a position to win this game. We'll play extra games, right?
And I'll never forget one time Mark Aguirre comes in, and he's complaining about not getting enough playing time. And Chuck goes, hold on just a second. And he opens the training room door from his office. And Dennis Rodman is on the exercise bike, and he's just pedaling crazy. And he goes, Mark, your problem isn't with me. Your problem's with him. If you rebound as hard as he does, if you play defense as hard as he does, you'll get more playing time. And Mark just sat there and went, and then he spun around and just walked out the door.
Chuck, and I can't emphasize this enough, he let us grow as people, as personalities, and also as a team.
See, come hard up here. Run him off the pick. Billy lob it over.
It wasn't like a dictatorship. You know, he'd come up with a play, and Isaiah'd be like, yeah, but he's been on fire, or he's not playing you. Next time you do this, I'm going to throw the ball here. Chuck was like, yeah, all right, but if you do, he better catch it.
We're not shooting until the final second. If I make it, we win. If I miss it, we're going into overtime. I ain't giving them a chance to shoot it again.
Everybody was a coach on the floor.
Emotionize. Get your emotions underneath you. Let's go.
And Chuck let us police what we needed to do as a team. If Isaiah wasn't doing anything, Isaiah, you're not doing, we need you to stop that guy. Point blank.
8 minutes. Let's go. Play now.
We would do that. I mean, Zeke would get in my face. I would get in his face. I mean, that's the way it was. That's the way we dealt with things, and we accepted it because we had one goal in mind, all of us, and that's to win.
One time, Zeke. One time, baby.
We were teammates. We were great teammates, and we cared for each other. We loved one another, and we looked after each other. Our locker room was tight. Our bus was tight. Our plane was tight, and when we got out on the floor, we were tight.
The Pistons would bring that unity to the challenge of defending their title, along with a distinct championship swagger.
They just said, you know, bring it on, whatever. We don't care. Here we are. We're going to laugh at you. We're going to beat you. We're going to mock you, and you can't do anything about it.
We came in to destroy you, take your city, take your team, take your fans, take everything that you have in this city, and then when we leave, you said to me, geez, the Pistons were here.
The Pistons were the team that everybody loved to hate.
They didn't like our shorts. They didn't like the way we looked. They didn't like our symbol. They didn't like Bill and Bed. They didn't like anything. To us, all we had was us. Somebody's got to be the bad guys. You want to make us the bad guys, so what? That's fine. I mean, we had some guys who loved it, who ate it up.
Isaiah Thomas reveled in it. Bill Laimbeer definitely reveled in it.
Bill Laimbeer went up, smacked him in the face, dead on.
Everybody hated Bill Laimbeer, including guys on his own team. He didn't mind it. He didn't mind it at all. In fact, he kind of enjoyed it, and he enjoyed frustrating these other guys out in the court.
He lost his cool and shoved Bill Laimbeer.
Here's this big, slow white guy who can't jump more than 2 inches off the ground, and he's hitting a 25-footer from outside. And it just infuriated them. And he played dirty, and then he would go, what? And that infuriated them.
Foul Laimbeer, and again he cries his little song. Give him a towel.
But while opponents may have disliked the Pistons, they still couldn't find a way to beat them. Detroit captured his third straight division title and advanced once again to the Eastern Conference Finals. There, they would meet a familiar foe, a team that was hungry to take the Pistons' crown.
The Bulls and Pistons hated each other. I mean, you had a cast of characters there that just, it was perfect.
The Bulls looked at the Pistons like they were these ground-hugging plotters. And here were the Bulls, who were these high-wire aerialists, and they thought that what they were doing was basketball as art, and what the Pistons were doing was just sullying up the game. And the Pistons loved that.
would start out, Dennis Rodman would get on Pippen, and in the first possession, Rodman would hit him in the chest, and he would just take him out of the game. I mean, these guys would try anything and do anything.
Don't give an easy shot.
Michael's going to have Dumars all over him.
Detroit's main strategy for stopping the Bulls would come to be known as the Jordan rules.
We played probably a physical style of ball with him more than anybody else.
Now look at the triple team as Sally and Rodman collapsed on Jordan.
Touch him every time he goes through that lane. Be physical with him every time he runs through the lane.
And Jordan's on the floor again.
They hated the fact that, you know, wait a minute, we're the defending champs. What's all this Michael Jordan stuff? And so they reveled in the fact that being able to be the one force that would shut him down.
Drive against a triple T block. The Bulls would extend the Pistons to 7 games, but in the end, it would be Detroit moving on to the finals once again.
It's over. And the Pistons come up big in the biggest game of the season.
For the 3rd straight year, the Pistons had knocked the Bulls out of the playoffs, and in so doing, they had seen a reflection of themselves.
They weren't ready. Mentally, they were like we used to be against the Celtics. They were very fragile. They just weren't ready. It's like the way the Celtics treated us, that's how we treated Chicago.
Get ready to move. It's time to submit to the rhythm with Pulse. 2 CDs or 2 cassettes of nonstop throbbing energy.
Another night, another dream, but always you. I know what I want, and I want it now.
You can order this collection online at MusicSpace.com. This is the perfect party collection with over 2 hours of pulse-pounding beats. You can't get this 30-track collection in any store. From techno to house, every song on Pulse is guaranteed to make you sweat. Why wait? Order this collection by Rush Delivery. Feel the pulse and get it now. To order, have your credit card ready and call the number on your screen or log on to MusicSpace.com.
Every athlete has a story.
You just knew you were in the presence of greatness.
A story that inspires.
He was winning Wimbledon with one hand and fighting the ills of this world with the other.
That brings us together.
When Magic announced that he had the AIDS virus, Bird broke down and cried.
And defines our history.
Jack and Team Dog were thinking. He said, this is America.
These are their stories. This is the award-winning Sports Century, 8 p.m. weeknights on ESPN Classic.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the excitement of the 1990 NBA Finals.
An unbelievable matchup. The Detroit Pistons, with all their experience,
going against the best in the West, the upstarts, the Portland Trailblazers.
The Pistons now faced one last hurdle in their drive to repeat, and from the start of the finals, team captain Isaiah Thomas took it upon himself to set the tone for the rest of the series.
How many times have we seen Isaiah? He presses the inner button in the heart, and all of a sudden he just takes it on.
He started draining a couple of threes, and I remember us being right in front of our bench, and that's where he just lit fire. He just owned those guys at that particular time, and he knew it, and he seized the moment.
He's amazing.
Isaiah played one of those magic 10 minutes where he was on fire and really bailed us out because we were struggling in every direction.
In Game 2, Detroit would struggle even more, and this time, Isaiah could not bail them out.
For the first time time in the playoffs, the Detroit Pistons have lost at the Palace.
There was some doubt because Portland had come in and beat us in our building, and that really shook us.
You turn them back tomorrow, and I tell you, there's a tremendous doubt in their mind what's going on.
I'm heartsick. I said, you know, we went through all of this, and to give up home court advantage.
And I just remember sitting on that bus, headed to Portland, and I was just saying, I don't know if we can win a game out there, because we hadn't won there in 20 years. Lambeer stood up on the bus and said, we're going to go to Portland, we're going to win 3. And I said, Lamb, I just want to win 1. He goes, we're going to win them all. We more or less followed his lead out into Portland. He reassured us. He gave us the confidence again.
Picking up where Isaiah had left off in Game 1, Lambeer would lead the Pistons as only he could. With his rugged defense and tenacious rebounding, he would antagonize the Blazers and take them completely out of their game.
Offense! Way to go, Lambeau!
He disrupted their players. He had them so upset that they really couldn't think about winning the basketball game.
Look at the hand checkers.
Yeah, I think Duckworth's too concerned about Bill Lambeer's presence on the floor.
They were getting technicals and screaming at the referees and screaming at each other. And, you know, Lambeer was in the center of all of that.
Both of you, this is the only matchup problem we got right now. Stop it. I don't want to hear no words. Stop it.
All games are mental. Every game is won by the mind, whether you're playing tiddlywinks or you're playing basketball or chess. People quit. People fail just because they don't want to mentally compete any longer, and that's the key to success.
24 games since we won here.
I don't know, but we got a lot of guys.
17 years, 20 games. 17 years, 20 games?
Yeah.
We just broke the streak.
Lambeer's performance symbolized the total team effort that was the Pistons' trademark. Throughout the series, each player would step up to contribute in his own unique way, while always looking for that one teammate who might make the difference in achieving victory. And in Game 5, with time winding down, the stage was set for the making of yet another hero.
Isaiah watching that clock work down with 10. Isaiah's going to go one-on-one on Porter.
You know, Isaiah's our leader, he's our captain. Usually he's in that situation where he's going to take that last shot.
Right side pass to Vinnie Johnson with 3.
Isaiah could have shot it, but he saw Vinny.
DJ against Kersey. Vinny puts up a 14-footer. Scores! 92-90 with 0.7 seconds left.
I thought it was a perfect ending to win a championship, to have it happen like that. Because it was a guy who was just a part of the team that dropped the shot to win it.
We were the truest essence of a team.
The Pistons are winners and still champions of the world.
And to go down there and to win 3 straight was pretty remarkable. And I guess that solidified how great of a team we were. When our backs to the wall, when we have a big challenge, we step up and meet those challenges.
2 minutes from the microwave, Vinnie Johnson gives the Pistons their 2nd consecutive NBA crown. Come on, get some more.
You've got a great team. Congratulations to you, the Pistons and the city of Detroit, and all of these very nice people.
What was unique about us is that we had so many extreme, different, diverse personalities.
What's the difference between this ball head and this ball head? This one is worth more and have a whole lot more in it. Thank you.
But once we came together on the court, or in the locker room, or got ready for a game, all of that craziness went out the window. It was about winning.
When people think about the Detroit Pistons in that era, the first thing that comes to their mind is how well we defended and how we shut everybody down.
They ended up setting the tone for everything that came after them, because no other team since then has really been able to win without a defensive approach to basketball.
We were blue collar. We were Detroit. We represented our city. We represented our fans.
And we had a swagger. We weren't afraid to stand up to people. And for a large segment of the population in this country, we were America's team.
You're watching